I started a silent call. Mizu taught me that, and that's all I do. Hello there.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Let me... Can you say something?
Yes, something.
Okay, I think I have to put you on 200%.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm a little bit quiet here. Let me, that might be a little bit better. I use a custom mixer, and so everybody says I'm quiet.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. You're pretty level with me now.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Okay. I don't know if the model has shown up yet. It takes a minute for me.
Yeah, you're right behind me.
Perfect. Perfect. Oh, goodness.
Oh, God.
All right.
Wait, where's my Discord overlay? Where's my Discord overlay? Like, right...
Oh, how do I...
God. What did they do to the new Discord? Like,
oh, they made it beautiful. Don't you like it? You can make it jet black now. Isn't that fantastic?
oh, it looks awful.
Oh, I don't know what you talk about. I love it. I can, like, I think the biggest thing that I like is that I can make it, like, jet black now. And so now when I'm in my dark room playing video games, I can actually, like, not have to squint my eyes. It's beautiful. Like all...
Oh, the Onyx? Yeah, I see.
Like all gamer incels.
It's like the UI is still kind of bad.
Everybody hates the new UI.
Why is that overlay? I mean, you know, you gotta. Everybody.
Okay.
Everybody hates UI changes.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Everybody gets used to it and then they change it again.
Right, can I where's my thingy? Here we go.
Your thingy?
Yeah, my control.
My chat says you have a pretty big tail.
Yeah, my tail is... You're stuck on my tail.
I expect... Yeah. See, if I turned on my actual hair, you'd probably get stuck on my hair. I'll tell you. I keep it off for a reason.
I mean, I can... Wait, oops. I cannot hide my tail.
Unfortunately...
Yes, I can't hide it.
Unfortunately, it's not easy to just pin somebody in the background. Oh, that works. I appreciate that.
There we go.
Might make it easier. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good work.
How are you doing today, by the way? It looks like 5 or 6 p.m. for you?
It's 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fine. I'm trying to get a little bit more rest.
Mm-hmm. No rest. Like, obviously you don't need to tell me what you do, but do you not get a lot of rest right now, or?
I do get sleep, but it's not giving me the energy that I need.
Mm.
I mean, your boobs are huge. Holy shit. Okay.
How much sleep do you get? Do you get at least 6 hours of sleep?
I get like 7, but I do tend to wake up a lot.
Interesting.
So I nap a lot.
I see. Sleep issues seem to be more and more common these days. I know that I have a family member that has to sleep with a sleep apnea machine. Have you had, like, a doctor look at it?
No, I don't. I've started recently to take, like, melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
Because I used to have, like, an antidepressant that makes you sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I like melatonin.
Mm-hmm. What is it like?
It makes me a little bit...
You chew it, or you don't like the taste?
No, it's like
a
spray.
Oh, okay.
It's a spray.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alrighty. I don't know. Are you live on Twitch? I
am live on Twitch and YouTube and Twitter. I was thinking about Kick and Rumble, but I don't want to have to bother to manage the bots that come up on Kick every single stream. They have not squashed the bot problem. Neither is Twitch, but I don't want to deal with kick bots advertising their services.
On Twitch?
Hmm?
Do you have Seribot on Twitch?
I don't use Seribot, no.
I can recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps.
I'm just not interested in using a chatbot for filtering. I just let my mods take care of it. I mean, I haven't had a lot of bot issues on Twitch anyway. And maybe that's because most of my viewers are on YouTube now. But I typically don't have a lot of bot issues on Twitch. It's Kick that is the real issue right now.
Does this placement work for you?
On your side? Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind.
Okay. No, I mean, like, for you as well.
Oh, no, yeah.
Like, on your stream.
I mean, I'm able to move you around, so I've put you in a optimal position for me, so.
Oh, I thought it was linked.
No. You know you can move the model. Like, on the collab screen here. Yeah. Let's see. If you press... check the model, you can click you control position so that you can control where the person goes. It's very useful in my personal opinion, because when me and my co-streamers on my weekly podcast get together, we like to arrange ourselves in any way we want.
I thought it was linked. Okay. Yeah, I've been moving you around. I just didn't know if I was basically
No, yeah,
moving you too.
I put you in an optimal position on my side, so you're sitting in a good spot. At least I think so.
Perfect. Let me just...
Don't worry, I didn't hide you at the bottom of the screen. You're just like right next to me.
Alrighty. Do you just want to like introduce yourself?
I can do that really quickly. My name is MommaOcco. I am a drama content creator on YouTube. I tell the news mostly in pop culture and VTuber related spaces. I am also just a normal average VTuber streamer as well, occasionally. Most of the time the drama is too fun not to talk about, but yeah, I do a little bit of everything. I make videos about things that are passionate to me, and I'm working on documentaries behind the scenes. Excuse me.
Alrighty, yeah. And we basically got together because of drama.
I mean, you asked me because you wanted to talk to me about some of my childhood experiences here. Obviously, you know, if people look at my tweets, now I don't actually know what put me on your radar, but like I had made a couple of tweets where I was kind of critical of you over some of the things you had said, and I don't know which one it was, but you started reading my tweets, and then you came across one tweet of mine, and you're like, "Oh, we should. You want to talk about this on stream?" And I was like, "Oh, interesting." I mean, I'm not. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's just. I think. I don't know why I saw it, because I think I had you blocked because of some drama situation.
One of them. I have multiple. A lot of people hate me. It's funny.
I think it was back then with the Torakawa situation.
Oh, okay. I mean, that is like the impetus for a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Yeah. That was like. I think that is when I first heard of you and like your podcast, and when I blocked you, and I don't know why I saw your tweet.
Because Elon forces you to see my tweets anyway.
Probably.
He made it to where everybody is required to see all blocked posts. He did that specifically for you.
It's so annoying to like just constantly see tweets of people who have you blocked or who you have blocked.
Well, you gotta mute them. That's how you fix it now. Muting like gets rid of their tweets, period. I mute a lot of different phrases and I just don't see them anymore.
Wait till Elon gets rid of that because he gets muted.
I mean, like, if he's gonna sink the platform further, it's totally fine. Listen, I think a lot of people are, like, upset with how Elon broke Twitter. I just think it's funny. I think that the whole, like, platform kind of slowly either falling apart or getting better is funny.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's so bad.
Why is it bad?
I don't know. It's just the thing is like I could like the ads that I see are just like crypto or like propaganda stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so annoying to always see tweets where like, oh, is that like a normal tweet in your feed? It's like, no, that's an ad. And you see it in the replies too.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
oh god.
I would say that like it's just a shift of the political spectrum, because I feel like before Elon bought Twitter, there were a lot different ads on there, and now that people can put whatever ads they want on there, people are just going to put whatever they want on there. It's kind of like the same with YouTube, because on YouTube, I mean, now I've had premium for over a decade, so I don't typically see ads, but I know on YouTube you'll see ads for like video games, very suggestive ads for video games, and I'm just like, how the fuck does this get on YouTube? And then you advertise yourself on YouTube, and it's just like, no, you're rate limited. Your ad sucks, and it's just like, what do you mean?
Yeah, like I mean, all the serious like companies, like the advertisers, kind of pulled out. It's the same with like the check marks. Like they lost all their meaning, and it's just.
I thought that was funny too. I thought that was hilarious. Oh goodness.
It's just so bad.
I would say though, I do like that you can only get verified if you pay money, because then at the very least you have to steal somebody's credit card, or at the very least you have to verify yourself with a credit card, and the only way that they will verify you for realsies is to submit your ID. And I do kind of like that. I think that the original form for the verification badge, like, I just think it was a status symbol, and I just didn't really care that much for it, honestly. I think that a lot of
you can get verified through a company now.
Yeah. For what, Twitter or?
Or Twitter.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, that too. That too. I mean, like, here's the thing. If I get sponsored by a big company and they verify me that way, I would trust that, because it's just like, well, would the company lie to me? And yeah, companies lie, but I would trust that, because like Lumi, my one of my co-hosts, she's sponsored by One Energy, I want to say, and she's verified through them. So, you know, I trust that Lumi is who she says she is because of that sponsorship.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. But that is like basically how I got onto your radar, because I, had issues with a certain company sponsoring and verifying a certain content creator. So
Which one? You can be as straight as you want. I don't care. This is on this channel. People. I mean, like, I don't allow people to explicitly say very mean words here, but I don't. This is a free speech place for me. Go off.
No, I mean, it's just like because I replied to a tweet. There was a clip from Kish. And I was like,
well, let me pull
I
that
think
up,
I did
actually.
that 2 times.
I want to say that there was an initial reply. Let me look it up, because I want to make sure I get it right here. So I initially said that you were engaging in life ruination on Twitter.
Yeah.
And then you replied to me, and then I gave you probably one of my favorite replies that I've ever written, because I would say that on Twitter I write a lot of shit that people probably shouldn't take seriously, because it's just a lot of shit, but then I also mix in things that I do want people to take seriously. I'm trying to stop that, by the way. Ever since the Ludwig situation, where I wrote 2 lines of text while I was waiting in line at some restaurant, and so many people take that seriously, I'm just like, okay, this is some weird autism power that I need to harness, because people are just like willing to reply to me who's not even serious. I need to harness that for my actual tweets that I actually care about, and then nobody cares. I don't know.
I thought I kind of was memeing on this live ruination, because it kind of sounds like it's like a Pokemon move.
Well, I mean, I guess it can kind of sound like that. And oh, go ahead. Excuse me.
Oh no! I was done.
Excuse me. I mean, like, so do you know what life ruination is? I imagine that it's not like a term that a lot of people know of, but
I never heard it.
Okay.
I never heard it.
All right. That's fair. So life ruination is essentially the act of trying to ruin somebody's life through various different means. I know that doxing is one of the ones that some people typically refer to, but taking away somebody's money or trying to take away somebody's money is typically what I mean by with life ruination, be that calling their sponsors or calling somebody's job to try and get them fired because you don't like what they say or don't like what they've done on the internet or even in real life. I've seen it sometimes happen in real life. That's basically the function of leaving them without pay so that they struggle or go homeless.
Yeah, I just put up the tweet.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get what you mean. It's just I feel like there's some limits, and you know, like I'm not going to like pretend to not want to work with gamer subs, etc. But like the fact that they verify Kish through their company and slap their like brand onto it is just making me question if that is like a good fit to like, you know, push that product onto my community.
Is that like a new like idea? Because I let me actually make sure I don't want to like misquote you, because at the very least you said that you were jealous at the very least that that she was sponsored by them. So is it like you're not happy with them?
I said
or?
I wasn't. No. I said I wasn't jealous of her being sponsored. I only said this like, oh, of course I'm jealous. It was more like a meme to be like, oh, I'm jealous that she gets like so many viewers and it's just like a white supremacist and says hateful shit all the time. And I'm just like sitting there and doing educational content and stuff. And I don't have that.
And you don't have viewers?
Like, it was more like kind of a just to, oh, what is the word? Not necessarily being jealous for realsies, just having like a little, you know, take of criticizing her content.
I actually have the tweet here. It says, you're jealous of Kirsche and Co. because they can produce slop content, appeal to the worst kinds of people, say vile BS, spread misinformation, and gain a bigger audience than me, someone who literally just wants trans people to not be alone. So yeah, my apologies. I rereading that there. So you don't have like your issue is just that they are a company that goes with her, and you feel like peddling that company will not be good for your community. Is what you're saying?
I'm basically saying that like the fact that they openly slap their brand onto her account because she is verified through gamer subs is for me an indicator that this is not a safe company for me to work with. Okay.
I guess my next question then would be like, would any company be safe? Because I know that there's a lot of companies that end up like sponsoring different creators that you may not like with. I know that somebody brought up, what was it?
Market?
Huh? Yeah, Uwu Market. Because I think, don't they also sponsor Kish?
They have Kish's merch, but it's more like, you know, imagine you have like a Shopify store and you're like, well, I don't want to work with Shopify because Kanye West has his store on there and he sells like freaking swastikas on there. Like, it's more like, for me, Uwu Market is more like a host, like a provider for merch stuff. And like, yeah, I get that obviously these companies care about making money and it doesn't matter. But like, if I'm pushing out a product that is like affiliated with someone who literally has a check mark through that company, it is for me personally a little bit different. You know, if I'm running around in you know, dressed in merch of a company that also has merch with a creator that I dislike, I feel like that's a little bit different.
How is it different? Because
that's just how the world works, right? You know, like I have an iPhone, and you know, I don't support child labor, but like somewhere in the, it's just kind of tricky.
Okay.
I just feel like there's like a little, there's a line, you know, like I would, there are alternatives, you know.
Well, yeah, of course there's alternatives
to gamer subs.
Yeah.
So I would rather work with a different company. But I also know that like a lot of companies have problematic instances, and you can never avoid it. But it's just, I don't know, it's kind of insane to like slap your verification mark onto an account that spreads conspiracy theories.
Okay. I guess the issue for me with that comes then where it's just like, okay, there's a lot of creators I obviously don't like, but would I work with a platform that platforms them? Well, like if you've got personal principles, sure, you have to draw that line. But I feel like you approach a point, and I really don't know, like if your point is literally just because they put a verification badge on that account, I don't want to work with it. What if every company that you want to work with comes out and says, we endorse Kirsche, the individual that people call a white supremacist, we endorse her, we actually give codes saying that she is a brand risk? Like, so are you saying that you would disassociate with every single brand that is popular in the VTuber world? Like, how she's employed by Mythic now, which, depending on who you ask, has got more right-leaning or maybe even more center-leaning creators. But like, so are you saying that like if every single one of them came out and said, we support this one creator, that you would not work with them? That you would put yourself in that box?
The problem is, like, I can't sustain myself just through ad revenue and stuff. And I do have to work with companies, and I do have to make some sacrifices. Like, I'm not happy that Uber Market works with creators that I don't like. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you know, it's fine or whatnot. It's just like a sacrifice that I have to make. I feel like if they're companies actively endorsing Kirsche, then I would probably hesitate to work with them and would look for an alternative.
Okay.
That makes sense.
No, you're good. I just like, because here's my problem. Companies are motivated, and I don't think a lot of people actually believe this, but I believe this specifically just because of my very, very, very limited knowledge of merchandise and just the spheres of how this stuff works. Companies don't care about ideologies. I think some of them do. I think some of them get on their high horse. They say BLM during Black History Month. They say that they like trans people during June. They'll put up the flag and then they'll take it down once it hits July. I don't think people actually care. Like, these companies actually care. They care about money. They don't care about ideals or specific stuff like that. So if you want,
that's exactly like a problem.
So like, I think the issue that, and this is something that I have to talk about with people on all sides of the political spectrum, is that you have to remember, companies don't care about you. They care about your money. And the moment that your money is no longer good, or there's a shift, because we saw this, the moment that Trump got into office, we saw that a bunch of companies decided to start saying, oh, Mark Zuckerberg, a guy that I really don't like because of how much back and forth he does, and how much he's like, oh, I'm a free speech person, but then he bans people off the platform. Guy came up and said and gave his big endorsed support, for Trump, and it's just like, these people don't care about anybody. And I have a major issue when people decide to put too much stock in companies where they're like, oh, this company imbibes my values. No, they don't. They don't, and I don't think any of them will. And if there is a random company, like, I do know of a couple companies off the top of my head, like I think there's Candle, like a candle company, and I think that they're a little bit more openly trans accepting than other companies. But like, it is very far and few between that you're going to find a company that cares about the individual like that, because but at the end of the day, the individual doesn't make the money. The majority makes the money. And right now, the majority opinion is not that opinion. The majority opinion is just make money and make good products. So I think my issue is just like you're painting yourself into a corner. And if you're gonna stick on, and hey, I believe in sticking in principles. If you sticking to your principles means that you don't make money on this, you don't get sponsored with anybody because they all are against what you believe, great, fantastic. I think that's good that you are able to stick by your principles. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of losing my train of thought there.
Yeah, I get what you mean, and I do partially agree. But like the thing is, it's just really frustrating when you are part of the group that is being, just publicly, like a target.
Yeah, I know that feeling
from the right, and it's just you're kind of backed into a corner anyway, and you want to be like really careful with like who are you going to associate yourself with, who are you going to work with, which products are you going to choose, and we do rely on a lot of companies. I mean, we live in a capitalistic society, so like we are going to have like someone in a company who is a bad actor. And I said this, I think I tweeted about this a while ago as well, to have like content creators make their stance. Like I want to know if I'm going to associate myself with someone who basically hates me, Like if someone is out there being like transphobic or saying like white supremacist stuff, then like I want to know, and I don't want to support them. And I think I'd like Smakalena.
So you're asking for people to be political? Apologies.
No, I don't want people to be. The thing is, like, I don't think human rights should be political.
I agree.
I don't think trans rights should be political. But I feel like human rights have, in some sense, always been political. So it's like I don't expect people to like, talk about what is going on in the world. Like I don't live in America. I don't live in Spain, and there are politics going on in that world too. In that environment, and I don't have like a stance on a lot of political issues going on. But I feel like there's some, like sometimes when you have like a community, you should, kind of push people out who make that community unsafe.
Oh yeah, like gatekeeping.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. No, I think for small, if you have a community, you should make sure that your community, because I'm a very big believer in the small communities, and then paying attention to the big wide conglomerate, which is the government.
Yeah.
I do believe that you should gatekeep your communities and keep them close and safe, which is what I try to do all the time. I try and make sure that people understand who I am all the time. The problem, because you say people should list their stances, and you say that trans rights shouldn't be a political issue. I think the problem is that both sides have made it a very political issue. I think at the very least here in America, because I don't pay attention to worldwide politics because it's not America. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
But I know at least in America, the Democrats have especially made it a gigantic political issue. And because they've made it such a big political issue, the people on the right are going to make it a big political issue as well. And so I feel like saying that you don't want something to be political, that's a very nice sentiment to have. Because I would like for human rights to not be a thing to toy against people with. Because again, hater of big politics here, all right? I don't like politics whatsoever. But the people at the top make it a political issue to the point where you're kind of forced to make it one.
It's actually like the other way, because like Republicans have spent just so much money, so many funds on like pushing this idea of like trans, like being anti-trans. And they did that back then with like the abortion rights. segregation, all these cultural things gets people motivated in order to vote, and they basically blow that out of proportion. Where the Democrats were like, oh, we just ignore that, we don't make our stance clear. Like Kamala didn't talk about trans rights at all, so like it's actually false to say that like the Democrats were the reason this is like such a huge thing. Conservatives just threw shit at the wall and the trans issue stuck. So, you know, like Elon Musk, he purchased Twitter and he's constantly boosting people who spread misinformation about trans people. Like he has his personal vendetta because his ex-wife left for a trans woman, and you know, all it's just throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks, and then just like running it down. It's the same with like this anti-woke stuff and pronouns and yelling, and in reality it's just like capitalism and the release of unfinished games, corporate greed that like ruins games. And it's not the ability to select your pronouns in the starting screen, you know? So it's really exhausting because they are the ones who are louder, and it's so difficult to debunk misinformation when they, you know, just like keep lying and boosting it.
I would say that they are only loud now after a couple of years, because I would say, maybe since the very late Obama, like second term Obama, maybe even earlier than that, I'd say that Democrats have been getting louder and louder and louder, because like during the 2010s, moving into the Trump era, and then into the 2020s with Biden. I keep forgetting that man's name because he is so relevant now. Democrats definitely had louder voices. People were getting banned on platforms. And by the way, I should say, again, I don't believe that anybody should be banned, and I believe that no side should be louder than the other. And I think that the tactics of both sides, I abhor to the utmost extent. I don't like it when Republicans are like, oh, all of one thing is bad, and I don't like it when the left says like, oh, all of one thing is good. Because and this is very weird for an autistic person to say here, there is no such thing as all of one thing is good and all of one thing is bad. There is a gray matter in the in-between, and I think both sides do a very poor job at finding the in-between. And the reason why they do a poor job at it is because that's what gets them the most votes. By being the most inflammatory on one side or the other, you're going to have people that say things that are shitty and wrong, and I would consider utmostly abhorrent. And I treat everything like it should be, again, coming from an autistic person, I treat everything like everything should be gray, and that everything should be taken as a not one size fits all, because not one size does not fit all, especially when it comes to human beings. And so I would agree that the right has been very inflammatory recently, and there is some issues on the right that I would probably disagree with if they were brought up to me. But I also think that for the past 8 to 12 years, I'm very sick of people calling me a horrible person because I was born white, or that I was born a man, and because I didn't like transition because of my gender dysphoria, I'm a horrible person because I am just a regular dude that is just planning to live. And I think that both sides are pretty bad at that, and I think that it's, unfortunately, it's just going to keep on going. There is no end to that.
I mean, okay, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, so my apologies there.
First of all, I do believe in the paradox of what is the paradox of tolerance? Where it's like you can't tolerate intolerant behavior, because it leads to a world where it gives people the idea that it's okay to be horrible, you know, pieces of shit, and you know, like if you have a company and you, or like, let's make it even more obvious. If you have a playground and you have your child on that playground and you see another child bully your child, like, would you say something, or would you be like, oh, you know, that's just freedom of expression, and they are just doing.
I'm sorry, like, what's going on with the child?
If you have a child, and you go with your child on a playground, and another child is bullying your child, would you like say something, try to get them removed because they're making this environment like unsafe? Or would you just be like, oh, this is just freedom of speech and that's how the world just works?
What kind of bullying is it? Is it verbal? Is it physical? Or is it just in general?
In general, but let's go with like verbal or like, I don't know, taking their toys away and stuff like that.
Obviously, I get involved. If they had a parent there, I would definitely get involved. We can go the extreme example of Reddit stories of entitled parents and entitled child, but like if I would go to the parent, and if the parent doesn't do anything, you know, probably leave, get the police involved. I don't know. It depends on the severity. I don't know.
So
Depends.
And that is kind of like my idea when it comes to like Twitter. If you give people the idea that they can get away with anything, if there's no accountability to what they are saying, then it creates an unsafe environment for marginalized groups.
Okay.
You know, because like you sow the seed in people's heads. You know, they're like spreading misinformation. Like this red pill agenda. You know, this like hatred for women, and like oh, feminism is bad because it's just about hating women. It's like putting a seed in people's head, and then it just grows, and these people are going to, you know, start harassing women. You know, when I play Valorant and I get harassed, and I have people tell me that they wanna, I don't know, physically do stuff to me. It's like,
and you take that seriously? Please don't tell me you take that seriously.
I'm not taking it seriously, but it can trigger real life trauma.
Okay.
That people have. And I feel like people should have, they shouldn't have to worry about when they play a video game to relax.
My suggestion is that it's the internet, and the internet is full of disgusting, nasty people of all different creeds, alignments, genders, and, you know, whatever. And because of that, I am going to expect that the random guy from a Slav nation that hates Americans are going to come in and say horrible, nasty things about me. And if they do that, we walk away. I said this multiple times, and I'll say it again for your audience. The moment I turn off my like, if something happens, if I need to step away because something is stressful, something is like a lot for me, the moment I turn off the computer is the moment that situation ends, and I can walk away and be a better person. Because that's how the internet is. The internet is a social sandbox where people of all kinds come together. And I don't care about people at the end of the day. And do people say things that get on my nerves? Yeah. But when I was still Mormon, people said a lot of stupid, shitty stuff about the fact that, and they were a lot of them were also probably Christians as well, saying things about how they thought that my religion was dumb and that I was going to go to hell because I believed in so many different things about the afterlife. I get off the computer and those people don't exist. And like, if people
the thing is, like, it just doesn't go away for a lot of people. You know, it's not like when you trigger my trauma and then I just turn off the computer, like my day is still ruined. And like, why do I have to, you know, remove myself from that situation just because a person is like a horrible person and they should be allowed to say whatever they want?
Oh,
you know, like there should be consequences for it. There should be like some form of moderation.
Then mute them. Don't let people talking like play with the people that you're used to. My problem is like, if it's triggering something in you, then you probably have something that you need to figure out and solve. And as somebody who is a certified life coach that's gone through the training, I know that if there are things that are bothering you, there's things that you probably have to work through and talk through. Now, I'm not going to say that I understand or know all of your experiences, but if people are rude to you in chat and that hurts you, you probably need to talk about it with somebody and walk through it. And I don't believe that, like, do I believe that there should be some moderation on the internet? Depends on the situation. But in general, I don't believe in moderation on the internet because I don't believe that it can be done fairly or righteously. I think that all people are incapable of doing things correctly and rightly, which is why some things just need to grow a thicker skin or just ignore people. I have to ignore people all the time. Again, I have people, I primarily get people that attack me that are against my podcast, but like I get people on the right sometimes that come in and call me a man, and it's just like, like, are you trying to trigger me? Because I don't care. And you have to have that that skin, because if not, you probably just shouldn't be on the internet. because the internet is raw. Because people are going to be raw. I don't know. I don't know if that's making sense or anything, but...
Do you think saying they want to sexually assault you is just words?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people wouldn't say that in real life, and if you came to those people in real life, a lot of those people would be stupid pussies. And I think that there's a very small minority of people that would actually do that. But if people are giving you death threats, buy a gun. Protect yourself. If people are stupid enough to come to your house, you shoot them. Sorry, that's a bit of an American thing, but like legitimately,
yeah, that's an American thing.
That is like legitimate.
No, it's kind of wild to me because I think that we shouldn't accommodate for shitty people and instead make a safe space for people who are normal. You know?
Make your own safe spaces. That's your community. But if you're stepping into a public space, which is video games, if you're stepping into a thing where people of all kinds are going to come together, you can't expect that the internet will be sanitized for you. Make your own communities.
Yeah, but like the communities have like, or like the companies have like some moderation for a reason.
Well, the companies can moderate. Yeah, if the companies moderate, they can do that. And if the people don't like the moderation, they're just going to move on. And you know, depending on the people, that could make or break the game. I personally think that if a company wants to avoid issues because of some people in the chat, hey, that's perfectly fine. That's their game. That's why a lot of people don't use voice chat in video games anymore. And if they do, listen, I am a personal believer that using a voice chat in a video game is dumb. All right, that's what I have Discord for, or that's what I have TeamSpeak for, or whatever platform that people don't feel like they're trusting one week or another. I just think that, like, make your own communities, and if you have to deal with people that are stupid, just don't engage with them. I don't really get the sanitizing other people when it is something that you have to work through.
I mean, you know, it's not that easy to brush off trauma.
Oh, I agree. Oh, trust me, I know.
It's kind of an insane take to basically side with the abusers.
No, I'm not siding with the abusers. No.
And basically just do victim blaming. Or like, oh, you're not tough enough to be on the internet. You should remove yourself because you can't handle it. Yeah, there are some people that definitely should not be on the internet because of how they handle things. Like, I think Ethan Klein right now, very good example. That man needs to get the fuck off the internet because he keeps engaging with people that are hurting him and hurting his family. Man needs to get off the internet because he can't emotionally handle it right now. I think that if you're not willing to emotionally handle some of the things that are happening on the internet, you should probably take a break. You should probably get off and examine what's wrong with you so that you can step back and not be bothered by the shitholes of the internet. Because again, oh, go ahead. My apologies. No, it's just kind of blowing my mind right now because, I mean, I don't really want to create a safe space for bigots, you know? I don't want to create a safe space for shitty people. And I don't think the internet should be a safe space for shitty people. I think that the internet... They should find their secluded communities where they can be horrible, you know?
People have. I mean, like, for the last 10, 20 years, they have. I mean, that's what... And I'm going to be honest with you. I do believe that there should be people that should make their own communities. But I also believe that sometimes these people just need to be out in the open so that if there are real dangers... Because, again, I don't believe that words on the internet affect people. Because they used to affect me. They used to affect me. But then I realized it's just like, okay, the more that it affects me, the worse they become. Because when you give those people that power, because I recognized this really early in my streaming career, people are willing to say the utmost crazy shit. Why? Because they want a reaction out of you. And you have to decide whether or not it's worth giving that person the win, giving that person the reaction that you want. That's why, like, when people talk about, like, the evil Kiwi farms, that's why you don't pay attention. Because the more you pay attention, the more that they're interested in looking into you and paying attention to you and hurting you. Like, you just have to decide that they are not worth it to keep in your mental space. And if there's something you got to work through, you gotta talk to somebody and work through it.
Yeah, but I don't want Twitter to be Kiwi farms.
Twitter's not Kiwi farms. Twitter is...
I'm just saying, but that's kind of where you are leading up to, basically.
I disagree.
Because you're saying there shouldn't be moderation.
I think illegal speech that is very, very, very specific, like if you're tweeting CSAM, if you're inciting violence, I don't think that should be allowed. I think that incitements to violence and harming children should be allowed.
That's basically what Elon is doing by boosting misinformation about trans people.
Okay.
if I tell you, if I tell you that like 10 out of 12 people who are sexual offenders are trans women going into the restroom and doing, like, if you believe that and you see a trans person in real life, you're like, oh, that must be like one of those predators. Like, this is why the hate crimes have skyrocketed in like the past decade. And it all started back then with Jordan Peterson owns SJW type shit. You know, you remember that, where feminists, etc., were like portrayed as these triggered snowflakes, and now in reality, like, these MAGA people are like the triggered snowflakes, like waving their fists and
I think some of them are, yeah. Some of them definitely are. And I will say right now, I think that some of the shit that Elon says about just genders and politics and stuff, I think that he's fucking retarded. Excuse me. I think he's wrong because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And again, I only know that because of my own experiences and the experiences of people that are around me. So no, I think that sometimes Elon Oz is wrong on things. You would have to show me specific tweets in order for me to agree or disagree with them, but I'm not going to sit here and say that he's all right. I would also say that, like, he bought the platform, and is it right that a rich person gets to buy whatever he wants with his money? It's his money, and if somebody's willing to sell to him because money is money, you know, is what it is. Unfortunately.
I mean, he didn't sell it. He didn't buy it with real money. He bought it with imaginary money that is basically kind of ruining the economy and
what do you mean?
In the US right now.
Like what? Stocks? Or?
Yeah, like basically he leveraged his stocks
to
the banks.
Okay.
And they're like heavily inflated. You know?
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know very much about like how his stocks are doing and all that kind of stuff. I'm not educated enough on his stocks and all that stuff, so I couldn't really give an opinion or comment, but
basically all of his competitors, like, if you compare the stocks of his competitors, you'll find that there's, I think, a 10x or 20x multiplier to it, and everything is basically just hype. Him over-promising shit. Okay. Being like, oh, we are going to Mars, we're doing this, we're making robots. And then he's using that imaginary wealth in order to buy himself into, you know, the government and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't really want to get into that stuff. It's just really frustrating, and that is definitely like a take that I disagree with you on, because I think there should be some form of like consequences to the things that you're saying, because you're still talking to real people, and it can trigger real emotions, because a lot of, you know, abuse, you know, people have experienced a lot of abuse in real life, and it's not just like, it's your fault for being affected by it. Like, I agree with you on the part that, like, you should definitely work on yourself so it doesn't affect you as much. But I also don't want to give people the ability to say these horrible words to begin with.
Well, how would you punish them? What's your punishment, and who gets to do it?
I mean, if we're going back to the example of Valorant, then like Riot Games should like definitely punish you for saying, you know, things that can be triggering, like sexual assault.
Okay, and well, how would you punish
people
them?
Sexually harassing them? Probably muting them.
Okay.
Like removing their ability to speak.
Okay. Well, I am curious, because you just like take it in a general sense, because you say that people should be punished for some of their speech. Like, let's just like talk about in a real life setting. Who would punish that, and would you be willing to trust that one authority forever?
I mean, we have defamation laws and stuff for a reason.
Is it like...
The thing is like...
Oh my god, go ahead, my apologies.
No, the thing is like, you know how difficult it is to prove discrimination happening at the workplace?
It depends. I have seen a couple of, and I'm not going to bring up specifics because these are friends of mine, but I have seen some people that have gone through discrimination in the workplace. And it really depends on how blatant it is.
So you would go to HR and hope that they're going to resolve the issue?
I don't believe that HR is useful in any sense of the word. HR is extremely biased one way or another in a company. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe that companies are really good at resolving conflict like that, period.
Then you would go to the next step, which would be, the court.
Perhaps, yeah.
If you have the money to even do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you want to deal with like a lawsuit that is going on probably like for 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like there should be a better method, basically.
Okay, what method would you use?
To solve these issues. I don't know.
You don't know.
I'm not smart enough to come up with a good system that can't be abused.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, because it can't not be. Yeah. See, here's what's funny is I don't believe that there is a government or a system or a law that can be applied equally, because there is no Jesus or any there is no basically God on earth that can do it equally, which is why I am so passionate in just like work on yourself. Don't let evil people into your life, and basically the freedom of speech thing, because it's just like you can't apply it equally. Because I know that some countries have hate speech laws, and it's just like, okay, what is defined as hate speech, and is it defined based off of the people that are currently in power, and can that be changed? Because I definitely will get on Republicans if something like that happens, because like I know that some Republicans want to do anti-Semitism laws, and it's just like, okay, that's still that still goes against freedom of speech. And even though I don't believe that you should be anti-Semitic or against anybody, I don't believe that you should write that into law, because the next person that gets in could abuse that. So I just, my problem is the laws like these that exist will not be kept the same by the next guy that gets in office a couple years or 10 years or whatever from now. They are made to be abused by the people that are bigger than me. So I just don't believe that they should be in place in general.
Do you know why marginalized and oppressed groups need protection from the law?
Why?
I'm just asking you if you have like an idea why women's rights or like discrimination laws, etc., are like even, like the Equality Act, etc., why that even exists.
Because of the government.
Like, why do oppressed groups need protection?
I would ask you to explain it to me here, because I'm not quite sure where you're going with this.
No, I'm just really like, I don't understand why it's like difficult for people to understand why oppressed groups need to be protected from privileged people, because like you need to have these anti-discrimination laws, etc., because of the things that are going on in the world, because the discrimination that's happening in the workplace, like the Equality Act being removed, and now like you can discriminate against trans people and just have them lose their housing just because they're trans. Like, these are things that are happening, and like that is why there needs to be some protection. And it's not written that like you can't discriminate against everyone except white cis straight people. It's like you can't discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation, their gender, their race, their ethnicity, their religion, etc. Like, these sorts of things are written in the Equality Act, that like the playing field is like leveled.
Well, and
like,
I do agree that there should be no.
That is like oppression, because
Sorry, you go ahead.
Accessibility is also really important.
I do believe that, like, the obviously, equal rights, no discrimination, all that kind of stuff. I am not as well versed on what you're talking about, so I can't really give the best opinion on it. And I would rather not give opinions on things that I have not done an extensive reading on personally.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just trying to explain to you why these laws, etc., are even in place. Like, they are not perfect. I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying that like DEI in America is perfect. I heard it's actually kind of shitty and it's just exploitative. But
all laws are pretty exploitative, in my personal opinion. People will find whatever they can to skirt around the rules. And when they do that, if it gets a problem, you make a small amendment to it.
But that doesn't mean that, like, the laws aren't beneficial for people.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know?
I don't know. I would say that specifically for this, like, I obviously don't believe that people should be, like, discriminated against unless they are genuinely evil people. I think that, you know, we could agree that, like, if somebody breaks common sense kind of laws, like
what is common sense?
I think that's probably the wrong wording. My apologies. I would say that if people break the laws of the land, just in general, they probably should be prosecuted.
Where do you get your morals from?
My morals? Well, I'm Christian. I grew up Christian in a Christian household. I used to be Mormon, but I'm slowly detaching from that. And I also get it from my parents because my mother was raised Catholic, and my dad, who is Scandinavian. So I get it from them.
So do you treat people, like, equally?
I try to, in all senses of the word.
Do you think the government, etc., is treating people equally?
The what? My apologies.
If the government is treating people equally?
No, the government doesn't treat people equally. The government is built up of people that are very rich that got into government because they want to exploit other people and make a lot of money for themselves. So I don't believe that the government always treats people equally. But I believe that also goes against both ways.
Do you think companies are treating people equally?
I think companies want to make money. So if you go against them making money, then they probably would mistreat you, or they would go against you.
You know why the Nazis were turning against Elon, right?
You're gonna have to be a bit specific. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. do you remember the where he was saying about the H-1B visas?
Mm-hmm. I think he was stupid about that, by the way. I think that his comments on that were stupid because I think people should be welcome into the country if they are able to get in. And I from what I understand about the H-1B visas, they are massively abused by companies that want to import cheap labor.
Yeah. So I do believe that, like, the government has a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I think getting rid of the Equality Act is not the way this is going to go. This is just going to lead to even more, like, discrimination and, like, how nepotism benefits, like, privileged groups, etc.
So the equality that's the one that Biden signed in? Is that correct?
Because
I seem to remember
was that Obama?
I can't remember, honestly. I'll be honest with you. Again, I'm not really well versed in that one because again, like there are very few politics that I actually pay attention to, and that was not one of them.
That was 2021.
Okay.
So that. Oh no! Wait. 2010. Oops.
Okay, so then it probably was Obama.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Obama was 2008.
Yeah. But yeah, this is basically like removing these guardrails is not beneficial to oppressed groups. Like, it's just going to hurt the lower classes and marginalized groups even more. So, like, I think the government should have, like, some form of protection in place in order to get rid of these things. I don't think that the government is perfect, and, like, I mean, I'm German, so obviously my government is different than the one from the US. And it's kind of dangerous to see, like, a trend where everything drifts more and more into like the far right extremism.
Do you know why that's happening?
Probably because reactionary content does really well, like reactionary stuff.
I think that's part of it. I think
spreading misinformation and like having this like us versus them mentality in order to divide and like fight this culture war.
I do think that is potentially part of it, but I think the problem is political spectrum exists on a pendulum, and it will go back and forth depending on how people are feeling. I believe that Trump got into office because all of the normies who don't really care about politics have been told, especially a lot of them that are of non-white descent, have been told for a long time that they are supposed to believe one way and work one way, and then they've seen how the economy is going and how everything else is going, and I think they just decided that they were done with one way of thinking, and they've switched. In my opinion, maybe a little bit too much harsher, but I believe that it's happened because so many people on one side is screaming, and that they've decided they don't want to hear it anymore. And I also think that when you bring kids into it, it definitely makes people pay attention, because there's a couple things that if you mess with, people start to resent you. And
it's just Trump is very charismatic and he lies.
Well,
he tells people what they want to hear. Like he said,
every politician does that. Yeah.
It's kind of different though. Like I don't support the Democrats because they're more center right than left.
Which ones?
So like I wouldn't.
Which ones?
I wouldn't, like the liberals.
Okay. Are you saying that they're more center than? Are you saying that AOC is more center than you?
No, I'm talking about like Harris. It's
okay.
like if you compare her views to like for example here in Germany to like the left and the right, it's like obviously Harris is more right leaning, and so are the policies. So I think it's just them not offering solutions to problems, and Trump is just lying.
Trump offered solutions, and they just said, we are going against Trump. And when you continue to campaign on the we are not Trump, so vote for us, that only lasts for so long.
I'm not saying that like the Democrats didn't deserve to like lose, because like they're still shitty people and they're still funded by corporations and shit, and they don't care about the people, they don't care about the problems, the actual problems that affect people. But like Trump is literally just lying.
I would have to you would have to point out specific lies, but
he said the war of Gaza, how he's going to like end it right away. He lied about egg prices going to drop. He lied about Ukraine war ending, and now he's literally just blaming Biden for setting him up for failure and everything, while the government is literally being dismantled by the richest man in the history of humankind.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know enough about the economy to comment on eggs. I do know that some people are very critical of some of the things that he's doing, and I will be honest, if you bring up specific issues, I will probably be critical on them as well. I will say, especially with Elon Musk and Doge and how they're going through the government, because he's not been put in correctly, he is technically doing things that are illegal because he has to be put in through the proper channels, like every branch of office that the president decides to bring in, and he hasn't done it yet. So I'm kind of just like, and this is something that me and a couple friends talk about, but the fact that he is just going through and doing all that stuff without getting proper approval or excuse me, not proper approval, by not being put in properly by Congress, it opens him up to the judges coming out and saying, yeah, you can't do this. And it's just like, you can stop this very quickly if you just say, you want to be in? Yes, I'll be in. I don't know. But like, I would say that when it comes to egg prices, I have no idea. I haven't studied it, so I can't give a good comment on that. When it comes to Gaza and Ukraine, I think he's probably trying. So I don't really know if you could sunset the war. Like if he gave a specific date.
He's talking about eradicating Palestinians and making it into like a business empire where you have like new housing, etc. Like displacing Palestinians, funding Israel, etc. Like that is what he's doing. This is what he meant by he is going to end the war. Which is like, I'm going to basically by phrasing things that are left for interpretation and not saying how he's going to do it. A lot of people were convinced that he was actually the right candidate because he addressed how we feel about the issue. So he left things open for interpretation for a reason, and basically just gaslighting people.
Okay.
So that is why he won.
Okay.
And the Democrats just, I don't know.
They didn't have anything.
You know,
That's
they didn't have anything. Yeah.
Like if they actually ran a real candidate instead of just shoehorning in one because their first one was way too old to run anyway, they probably could have had a chance. But no, they decided to run somebody that was completely incompetent and then decided to get in a woman and just said, vote for her because woman. And I think that's why they lost.
I mean, the thing is, like, you know how the policies that Kamala introduced would have actually like benefited the lower class more, and it's just, the thing is, like, you know, when Trump had his like first term and he had his tax reform, he basically set up the lower class to pay more taxes and then created issues and then blaming the Democrats for it because like, oh, now my taxes are going up, now I have to pay more, now I have more, now I have less money. The current government are Democrats. And this guy is saying that he cares about me and he blames the Democrats for everything happening. Like, you know, you're basically being gaslit into believing that the issues were caused by the people who are desperately trying to fix it and not the people who are actually the reason why this happened.
Well,
but I actually want to move on from
good.
Politics.
You're good. You're good.
And you know, it's just, I feel like we have a lot of differing views on a lot of things, and I'm open to have like another stream. But I actually want to talk about this one part where you mentioned that you had gender dysphoria.
Yeah,
we still have gender dysphoria.
We can move on to that. Yeah, I think I would say is just like a closer, like my knowledge of Trump, and I do believe the reason why he got in is because he was able to inspire people in a way that a lot of people on the right and the left haven't been able to in quite a long time. Will I probably agree with everything he says? Absolutely not, because I am a centrist that does not believe that either political party is really good. I believe that both political parties are destined to pit one against the other. But I do believe that he won because he was able to inspire people in a way that I have not seen people be inspired before. Like
he's really charismatic.
He is,
yeah,
and
I agree with that.
Yeah, like you don't win the popular vote and the electoral college without some form of like convincing people. So like I don't know. I personally would like have to sit down and actually, which I'm not going to do because I don't study politics. But I would have to personally sit down and study everything that she wanted to do versus what he wanted to do. I do think though that both sides suck.
The thing that I feel like that we might agree on is that Trump won based on emotions, not on policies.
I would say it probably was a mixture because he said there's a lot of things he said he was going to do, and I don't know if you would count what he said he was going to do as policy or not, but
yeah, but he didn't really specify steps and policies and like bills, etc. that is going to do what he says is going to do it.
I would have to.
He was just like, he's going to come into the office and slash everything. He has. I think one quote of him was like, he has ideas of a plan, or like he has concepts of a plan.
I do remember him saying that. Yeah.
With like healthcare and stuff. And like, it's just, the thing is like, with the right, there's like a lot of cult mentality where people just don't question what he says, or
well, I think people should.
Think that, like,
I think people are stupid to not question some of the things. Like, you should question everything. both sides are guilty of this. Both sides are guilty of just saying, "Oh, the president's Korean, you can't question him. We like him, so you can't question him." It's like, no, if he actually says something that sounds brain dead, you need to do it, because otherwise, you sound just as bad as the people you rail against.
I mean, I just think that like this MAGA cult is like really extreme, and now the entirety of the Republican Party is literally not questioning Trump.
I would disagree. I would say that at the very least, the Supreme Court and all of the courts will stop him if he does something that actually, like, there's a lot of times where the Supreme Court has come in and says, no, you can't do that. I think my favorite example is when one of the senators.
Fraud.
Yeah, but like if the courts can stop him, and if he does actually try to supersede courts when all of that comes done, then there might be a problem here. We'll have to see. But like I believe that the system works, and it still works, and it will keep the system working. I think, again, my favorite example is when a senator floated the idea of him being able to do a third term because it wasn't consecutive. It was like, no, you can't do that. And the Supreme Court was like, no, you can't do that. So the system works, in my personal opinion, and I don't believe that it's going to stop it.
Works. The thing is, like, he has been doing like things that go against the Constitution, and he also is like pushing the idea that he is above the law, etc., and he can do no wrong. But yeah, gender dysphoria.
Okay. Yes.
Gender dysphoria. That was a big tangent.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I apologize. I can't offer more in that area because, like, again, my knowledge on politics is low. Okay. You have to watch Kirsche if you want real political opinions, because I don't have them.
No, it's okay. I get it. I think we kind of drifted off into a direction that I didn't expect. But
That's fine.
I think it's also kind of important to talk about these things too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, dysphoria.
Yes.
Do you still have gender dysphoria?
I'm not sure. I'd probably have to go to a therapist. I can't really afford one right now, so I would say it's a potential. But I don't know. Probably not. All I know is when I was a teenager, extremely depressed, going through a lot of shit in life. It was in the middle of puberty. I was dealing with the fact that my biological father, I call him a sperm donor now because he's not really in my life, and he's been paper aborted technically. He was trying to supersede my mother in terms of custody, and trying to take me away from her. He didn't take me very seriously. In fact, he often demeaned the fact that he didn't think I actually had autism. Because he didn't think I actually had autism, I didn't feel like he accepted me as an individual. And so there was a lot of mental doubt in my mind of not being accepted the way I am. And I started getting in my head the thoughts that if I had changed myself, or if I had made myself different, that I would be more accepted. Maybe by him, maybe by society. I don't know. I was a depressed teenager at the time. And so that's where the gender dysphoria started to come in.
Okay. So you didn't actually felt like uncomfortable in your skin. You literally just wanted to be treated better or like differently.
I think I felt like I do feel like there was some of not feeling comfortable as myself, because I felt like myself wasn't treated right. So maybe I must need to be different in order to actually be different, or like to be accepted. Excuse me.
Did you like experiment with that?
Experiment how?
Like, I don't know, set cross-dressing or something?
Yeah, probably. I'm not going to say all the things I did as a kid, but like, yeah, I did.
Yeah, no, just like generally.
Let's see. When I was a kid, I didn't really have any money, so with whatever money I did have, I did buy a bra and experiment with that.
Was that something that felt right to you?
I'll be honest with you, it was very confusing. It was very, very confusing, probably.
I just want to say that, like, I'm not a therapist, so like
I did visit one.
Trying to like.
I did visit one. I was asked to go to therapy when my parents found out.
What was like the sentiment there?
Of my parents finding out?
And like the therapy.
Okay.
But yeah, sure. Let's talk about the. Yeah. You said you're Mormon, or you were Mormon?
I used to be. I think so. This was like early to mid-teens, I want to say. So I was probably like between 14 and 17. Mom found out, and I think mad is probably not the right word, because my mom wasn't mad. I think confusion was probably the better word, because this is way before like diagnoses for this kind of stuff came out. This is before everybody decided to start doing more interest. There was more interest in this. So this was before gender dysphoria was something that was probably even diagnosable. Because when I went to a therapist, he wasn't even quite sure.
Gender dysphoria, there was a the DSM-5 was put in place in 2013, which updated the gender identity disorder to gender dysphoria.
Let me see. That was 11 years. No. 13? No, 12 years ago. 13, excuse me. Let's see.
So it used to be known as like gender identity disorder. And like the problem was like the desire to change your sex or be the other sex wasn't even like a required thingy. Like I can show this. I can send this to you just so you know. Let me send this to you. These are the changes going from the DSM-5 from like 1949, 1949. So these were like all the changes. Let me hide my model. And you can see how the required thing was the discomfort with gender roles, and now the required thing is like the desire to be the other sex.
Okay.
Which is like, it changed a lot of things, and it makes it like clearer in order to diagnose it. Because like if you're uncomfortable with like gender roles, etc., like it can be misdiagnosed a lot, especially in young girls who experience misogyny. But like, well, I see how I'm being treated. I see how the guys are being treated. I don't like that I'm being treated with like misogyny. So like, that used to be a problem. It's now clearer.
Okay. Please link. Sure, I'll just show it on the screen chat.
I can. It was part of an article, by the way, from Aaron in the morning. That I can send you.
So are you asking like
if you actually, or like what the therapist like told you about it?
Okay. Now I'm going to be honest with you. The way that my body works with trauma is I just forget it. So I do know that I had multiple sessions with a therapist over like probably like a 4 to 6 month period. I don't remember all of the conversations. I remember bits and pieces. But I don't know if gender dysphoria was an actual diagnosis that he gave me. I just know that like I fit a good chunk of all of these things that were going on in myself, because I had that desire. I had been cross-dressing. I had thought of myself in a different way. Now this is probably more of a mama's boy kind of thing, but I did have a preference to not have activities with other boys. Mostly just now that probably could also just be because I didn't really fit in with other boys because autism, and it's kind of like a self-isolating kind of factor there. Oh, my apologies there. But like I feel like I would probably, when I was a teenager, probably fit a good chunk of these either in the 2013 DSM-5 there, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, basically that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, because like for me it was like distressing to see the changes of like puberty or be put into like the box boy, be treated by society as a boy, be perceived as a boy. like I had issues with that because it didn't align with my gender identity.
Okay.
And I started playing, games as with like as a female character.
To be fair, a lot of guys do that. A lot of guys do that because they like the female ass.
But it's different because like for me it was like more immersive, and I enjoyed being referred to as she.
Okay.
So like it just felt right. And like during school, like I had people say like, "Oh, you're like a girl. Oh, we're going to refer to you as she," etc. Like it used to be, for other people it used to be a joke, something to bully me with. But for me it was like, it just feels right. It just feels like that is how it's supposed to be.
So are you saying you had like a more feminine body growing up then, or like help me understand like how it got to that point without, because kids are fucking ruthless. Trust me, I used to be in the Boy Scouts, and when I was in church, they had nights where you spent time with the other boys. Boys are ruthless and mean. So I
got late into puberty.
Okay.
And I had therefore more like feminine voice.
Okay.
To the point where I, kind of started like stressing out over it, and I was like, well, I don't want to be bullied. I don't want to be different, etc. Like, oh, it's apparently wrong for me to be a girl because people use it as an insult. So I'm just going to hide who I am, and I'm going to pretend that I'm just like my brother, for example.
Okay.
And that obviously didn't work, and it just made me like disassociate and make me feel numb.
Did you ever talk to anybody about this?
No, I couldn't.
You couldn't?
I didn't have anyone that I could trust because like my parents bullied me for it too. My brother bullied me for it too.
Okay.
And I looked online. This is like 16 years ago.
Okay. So 2009, 2008.
Yeah, basically, like the research wasn't good on it, and also, I'm German, so I was like looking online, typing in German, like, why do I want to wake up as a girl? Why do I cry myself to sleep because I want to be a girl? And because there wasn't like education on it, I found like fetish forums. Being like, oh, this like femboy, sissy type shit, And it really kind of made me really uncomfortable to like talk about these things, because like I was 12. I didn't see what I was saying. I didn't understand what I was seeing. And I basically I was really stressed out that like if I talk with someone about that, they're going to be like, yo, some sort of freak.
That's really unfortunate. I will say, one thing I've noticed, just with trans people, or really just even people in general that grow up and just have some sort of poor relationship with family, I see a lot, and I do attribute the amazingness of my mother, bless her heart, single for multiple years before she gets remarried, raising her 3 kids, with her oldest being autistic and having to navigate autism alone as a single mother. Man, I would not have been where I was today without her. I do believe that a lot of people go through these traumatic experiences or don't have the tools to walk through them because they have parents that don't care or don't know or don't know how to walk through it. And it is very unfortunate to see. So I have a lot of sympathy for people that walk through life that don't have good parents, because good parents, in my personal opinion, if we had more good parents, we probably wouldn't have people that have these thoughts, or we wouldn't have people that get stuck in this mindset. Because my assumption would be is if you had parents that were understanding. Now, granted, back then understanding was definitely a lot different than it is now. But I think that if you had good parents, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to insult your parents. I don't know if you like them or hate them now or whatever.
Oh no, I hate them.
Okay.
Narcissistic.
I'm going to. I made the. A lot of trans people hate their parents, so it's just it's fair.
I mean, they're not great parents.
Fair enough. but like I believe that if we had better parents for a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people would end up in this situation, because they would have parents that would recognize my child is having issues here. Maybe we should have them talk to somebody, and then maybe you would have had the chance to talk to somebody.
This is basically why I'm so passionate when it comes to giving young trans people the ability to like get the healthcare that they need, have the representation that they need. Because like if you grow up and you don't learn about trans people and you have these experiences that you're like trans, but you don't know who you are, and you find out that other people don't relate to what you're telling them, then you feel like isolated and alone and anxious. And like the problem is like a lot of trans people struggle with the fact that they are trans, and they rather want to be like cis like the other people, because it's just so incredibly difficult to be different from, you know, what is quote unquote normal. So like that is basically what it was for me, where it was like hoping that like one day I'm going to wake up and I'm just normal. I'm just, you know,
not having those thoughts anymore, not feeling that way anymore. Yeah,
exactly.
I know what you mean. I definitely know what you mean, because in some small way I probably had again a good portion of my childhood. I fucking don't remember any of it, because mixed in with my dad's divorce, the minor child abuse that I feel like I went through, and a mixture of other things, I don't remember much about my childhood. But like I do believe that there's a lot of that is just left behind. I do genuinely believe that this generation as a whole is fucking cooked, because you had the baby boomer generation that bullied their kids, and then their kids don't know how to handle the generation that is either our generation or the generation afterwards, and it leads to broken people. Broken people.
Yeah.
Like, my mom is a second generation D4C. Her dad was divorced, and I'm pretty sure his some form of their family above them was divorced. So, you know, I think that a lot of parents, and I'm not going to say all parents, okay? Because again, I don't believe in broad strokes here. But I do believe a lot of parents these days fail in how they grow up and raise their children, and it's really unfortunate.
I feel like that is like a contributing factor of like why more and more people, or like why especially young men, are drifting into like this red-pilled manosphere. It's because they are being neglected by their parents. They don't have like proper role models, and they just like hate society, and they think that like women are being put on a pedestal, etc.
I think some of them probably.
So it's just like resentment.
I think also a lot of them look at what they see on the television, and I do think that a lot of people need to stop paying attention to the internet as a form of actual what is IRL. Because what's funny is a lot of people don't actually know that IRL, a lot of these things aren't true. I do believe that there is some form of discrimination that exists in the workplace, where men get put down because that was the thing for quite a while. I do believe that some people experienced stuff like that, but I don't believe that it is as widespread as possible. Why? Because I've been able to do some things, and I'm not going to speak for everybody, because I do know that everybody's different. They have their own experiences, but I do believe that once you get off the internet and you go touch grass and you go live as a real person, some of this stuff just isn't everywhere. It is in places, but it is not everywhere, if that makes sense.
That is basically how I feel about transphobia, because like when I go online and I go on Twitter being like, oh, I prefer pancakes over waffles, I get like 15 replies of people being like, you will never be a woman, and then I go outside in a skirt and I have like people call me she and refer to me as ma'am. Like, it's just, I feel like there's a lot more hatred going on in the internet, and sometimes you have to, you know, go outside and actually reconnect with nature and with like society as a whole. But like the internet is more like filled with like anger and hatred, and so it's like really problematic if you're a young trans person and you're stuck in like social media and all you see is like hatred. You know, you see like what is going on, like how trans people are being treated, like not just online, But also like the government is just spreading these lies.
Again, I think the government will, they'll go based off of the general, what they believe the general people believe. Because right now the general belief of the people is swung right back to where it was back when Bush was in office. Probably even further than that, if I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's basically 1930s Germany.
I was not in the 1930s Germany, so I can't agree or disagree with that there. So
like a lot of the rhetoric that is being used now against trans people is like Nazi rhetoric.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the first thing they did when Hitler became chancellor was go to the first clinic that performed the first like gender reassignment surgery and burned it down, destroyed all the documents, killed people, like the staff there. That was like the first thing they did. But like what led up to that point was all that like hateful rhetoric. Talk about like sexual deviance and like the unpure, the life that's unworthy of life, shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that then escalated and you know, was then also expanded onto Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the concentration camps. Do you know the pink triangle?
I'm unfamiliar with that, but I am familiar with all of the stuff when it came to World War II very extensively. Did a lot of studying for it back when I was in school.
So when the Americans, when the Allies freed people from the concentration camps, they freed everyone except the ones who had like a pink triangle on their uniform.
Really?
And that was like a label for LGBT people or LGBT people.
I have not heard the story, so I would probably have to ask for a link to it so I can read it. Probably not now, but I would have to ask for a link first so I could read it another time.
Yeah. I can send you... Is Wikipedia okay? Or you need a different source?
Oh, I don't know. Wikipedia really just likes to lean one way.
It's just like a summary. I would have to look through this source then. But that is like the second thing that came up.
Mm-hmm.
East Germany decriminalized. But yeah, I can look into it.
Yeah.
You can...
Yeah. Something that's not who's not Wikipedia, just because if Wikipedia is the website that literally will beg for money, but then will allow you to not edit things that are actual real truth. So I don't trust Wikipedia. I have not used Wikipedia. I didn't even use it when I was writing papers, so I just don't trust Wikipedia.
Yeah, I know that like a lot of people don't want to use Wikipedia as a source, but like I get it. So that's why I sent you the second one. But yeah, that it was basically like one of the things. And then I forgot what the point I was making was. But yeah, like there were like trans women and gay people, etc., being marked with these pink triangles, and then they weren't freed and we're still stuck in these concentration camps. So it's like, you know, when you like see the same rhetoric happening and them talking about like the prison camps in El Salvador, etc., it's really scary as a trans person to like see the signs of like, or like the stages of like a genocide happening, like in real time in front of you.
Are they sending trans people to El Salvador? Because I thought they were only sending illegal violent criminals to El Salvador.
So they want to send terrorists, but we know how like expanding they are on like terrorists. But what they already do is they are forcing trans women to go into men's prisons where they basically get put into cells with violent criminals in order to like calm them down. So basically just sending them to get S8.
Yeah, I am familiar. My personal opinion is if you're trans, you probably should have your own prison, just because, like, oops, shit, my light. I don't know the statistics. It's not something that I've read that much on. But I feel like the moment that you decide to become trans, you kind of, like, one side, people are not going to trust you in because you used to be a man or a woman, and the other side is just going to be, you're going to get hurt. So I think that they probably should have a separate prison wing, or at the very least not allowed in either, because it's very obvious that if you're in one, you're going to get harmed, and some, if they're let into another, they could potentially, maybe not always, hurt others. So I don't know. I think the prison argument is multifaceted, in my personal opinion.
I don't think segregation is a good thing. I also don't think that, like, there should be, you know, a separate prison just for trans people, because, like, 1% of the population is trans. And I also think that, like, if a criminal does a bad thing in an environment of other criminals, they're being put into, like, isolation. So, like, there are already, like, steps in place. And I know that, like, cis women have abused other cis women more often in women's restrooms than in women's prisons than, like, all of the trans women combined. So, like, don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I would need statistics in order to agree with that one.
I'm just saying that it's, like, really rare that abuse is happening, and, like, you're not like, oh, this cis woman did something bad, something offensive towards, like, other cis women, so we're going to trap them in a men's prison. You know, like, this is kind of insane of, like, a punishment, but, like, seeing these things happening is just really really scary. I think that's kind of why I'm, like, so outspoken about, you know, how there's a genocide going.
I think and I would offer this as a bit of a pushback. My problem is people end up, and I know that there are people that are incorrectly put in prison for crimes they didn't commit, and I can agree that those are issues that not even probably, they need to be solved. But part of the time when I hear about trans people going to jail, it's for sometimes very violent crimes, and I know that's because that's what the news likes to report. But every single time I hear about trans people going to jail, it's not for crimes they haven't committed. It's typically for harming people or killing people, and like, if you don't want to end up in prison, just don't do that stuff. And if do you think that, like, if you're a man and you do violent crimes against other men, that you should put into, just, like, you should still be put into, like, a men's prison? Probably should be isolated if you're a danger to other men. Probably.
And
isolated
that happens so that in women's, that happens with trans women as well. Like, there are isolation cells there as well.
Yeah, because they're going to get hurt by other men.
You don't put them in with the other, like, with other men. You don't take them and put them with other men. Like, you put them into women's prison, but there's an isolation cell, right? I
don't believe.
That's kind of how, like, the prison system works.
Again, I just don't believe. I believe that. Personally, I just don't think people should be committing crimes in the first place. Maybe that's too far for me to go. But I just think that people committing crimes in the first place is bad enough on its own. And if you commit crime, like I think the problem for me is my care for people goes down depending on the crimes they committed. If I hear that somebody went to jail because they hurt a kid or they killed somebody, my care for them and what happens to prison goes down way too much. And maybe that's a horrible thing for me to say as a Christian that believes all life is sacred. But I also believe that, like, with how karma works in the universe, if you go to jail for a violent crime that you committed, and people are upset with you for that crime, I hope and pray that you get out. But I can't feel as bad for somebody that raped or murdered somebody, and that doesn't matter what your gender is.
Do you think if a cis woman does that, they should be put into a men's prison?
well, they're regular. They're I hate using the word cis, but no, they shouldn't be put into a men's prison because they can get violently raped.
Why should a trans woman be put into a men's prison?
Again, I think that trans women should be segregated to their own prison to serve out their time sentence because they probably they're gonna it's gonna be an issue on both ends. It's just an issue on both ends.
Yeah, so if they're not safe to be around the group, they're being put into isolation.
I would rather, like, if you're asking about 100% safety for all sides, I'd rather they all be separated and you serve out your term alone in isolation or with other trans people. But the hope would be that you just don't have people that commit crimes in the first place for that to exist.
There aren't that many trans women in prison.
Then just put them in their own thing. Just put them in their own thing. I mean, yeah, but I agree.
What they are doing right now is put them with men.
Probably that's not a good idea. You shouldn't do that because. Yeah. And now, to be fair, they're doing that because they don't care. Because again, when you commit violent crimes, again, at least the ones that I've heard of, and I unfortunately don't have them up with me because I don't keep those kinds of statistics on me. But when you hear of somebody that goes to prison that does those kinds of crimes, they're typically people that have done disgusting violent crimes. And I don't approve of that. And I don't approve people getting harmed, but I also can't feel bad. I can say that I don't want you to get hurt, but I can't feel bad for you at the same time or say that Oh, go ahead.
I don't expect you to, sympathize with them. I'm just, trying to explain to you what is happening. And it's like they put trans women into men's prison to just punish them, where they get assaulted, where they get... raped, etc., because they are trans, and because they are prisoners, the general public doesn't care, and they think it's a win that these trans people are being,
I think in general, if you commit crimes, people don't agree. People just don't have care for you. I think that's the problem. Is just don't commit crimes. If there is something that's against the law, even if it sounds wrong, just don't break the law. And you won't.
The problem is they want to criminalize being trans to begin with.
I think that's wrong. I think that I think in general, and again, maybe this is something that people will disagree with me on, but as somebody that finds himself a live and let live, you should be allowed to do whatever the fuck you want with your body once you are of the age of consent, because it's your body and your parents are no longer have a hold over you to raise you to the age of majority. So I don't if you want to go out, be trans, take parts of your body off, put other parts on, go right ahead. I think that is completely fine. Trust me, I don't care whatsoever. Just don't and if people want to criminalize that, I'm obviously going to say that's wrong, because yeah, that's wrong, and that goes technically against freedom of expression, because once it is yourself, that's against freedom of expression. I think that people should be allowed to, as long as they don't break the law and as long as they don't harm other people in the first place, they should be allowed to do whatever they want to their body. Just wait till you're in the age of majority to do it.
At what age does a person become trans?
What do you mean by that? Physical or what?
Mentally.
I know that a lot of people have thoughts, and they can have, again, gender dysphoria. I'm sure that you can... I don't know if there's a age limit on gender dysphoria being diagnosed, but I would say that you could probably have those...
You need to be consistent for 6 months in your gender identity in order to be diagnosed with gender dysphoria. Okay, well, I think that if you think that you are trans at any point in your childhood, my thought process will remain the same, that children's brains don't finish developing at least till they're 25. But when you're 18, I don't mind what you decide to do to yourself. I think that when you're under the age of 18, you're not able to... You still know who you are, though. I disagree. I think that when I was 16, I was vastly different than I am today. Vastly different. I'm over the age of 25, and I know that I'm very different. And I know, I will say... I'm saying, are you still consistent in your gender identity, though? Well, you're
But the thing is that we're all different people. Because everybody is different, because nobody has the same two brains, nobody is going to be exactly the same. I do not believe that we can put everything on the same line because everybody is different. Are there going to be kids that will grow up and think that they are trans when they are 12 or when they are 16? Probably. Do I think that they should be allowed to do things to their body until they're 18? No, because they can't consent. They medically cannot consent. And they are unable to make informed decisions that later on in the life they could change their mind completely, which is why I think that they need to wait.
Do you think if that was the case, then we would see the regret rate be higher than it is right now?
Well, regret rate of what?
The regret rate of people who used to go on puberty blockers, then started HRT before they were 18, and are still like, you know.
Sorry, my apologies here. So are you saying that, like, if we kept people from going on these things, that the regret rate wouldn't be so high? My apologies.
Okay. So if you think that, like, people aren't consistent in their gender identity when they're trans, and do you think that, like, the regret rate that we're seeing would be higher, or like, how would you think the regret rate would be if we allow children who are no, how do I say this? Can I run to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay,
You're fine.
let me do that real quick because I need to pee.
Yeah, you're fine. You go use the restroom. Well, chat, I hope you are enjoying so far. Either side. I have both chats open right now, so I'm occasionally looking. Not really, but I apologize if I don't read chats very often, but because it does distract me. But I do have both chats open right now, so hello to both chats. I hope this has been educational. Can I be on? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is between me and Nyara specifically. I'm in charge of both chats now. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. Very, very dangerous. Take a sip. Good idea. I'm enjoying it. Good. Good, good, good. Here's the thing, even though if I can disagree with somebody, like, I think it is important, and I will give Nyara credit for, at the very least, stepping to the table. How do I get on? You don't. You don't. I'm intoxicated. Oh, I hope that you're happy being intoxicated. I will say again really quickly, chat. I am fine with people being critical. If you come into my chat and you're critical, that is fine. I don't ban people unless, like, you spam. So as long as you're not spamming, you're completely fine. All right. Otherwise, you will get muted. Hello.
Sorry about that.
You're fine.
Okay. So let me phrase this properly.
Okay.
Well, let me at least try to. Words are hard. So
very hard. Yes.
What do you think the regret rate would look like if we allow a child who's questioning their gender identity on, like, puberty blockers and then later on HRT? Like, what would their regret rate look like? And be like, oh, this was, like, the wrong path for me.
The problem is, again, because everybody is different, I am not quite sure, like, what the regret rate would be. I know that people have tried to do lots of studies on this thing, and I think, again, the problem is, because everybody is so different, I feel like trying to lump all statistics as being a general consensus is not a good idea, because people have vastly different ways of thinking, vastly different ways of thought. But we could have people that have similarities, but could have very different ways of thought. So there is a chance it could be higher, there's a chance it could be lower. The problem is that, like, again, my thought process is regardless, because a child is young, has a still developing brain, and could change their thoughts multiple times from the point that they are a baby all the way to an adult, I do not believe they have all of the information that they can properly take. And I use my own experiences, and I use the experiences of many other people that I've seen to make that determination.
So I'm telling you that, like, the regret rate is like 1%.
Mm-hmm.
And considering that, like, knee replacement surgery or like cosmetic surgeries have like 10, 15, 20%, it's actually kind of a medical miracle, because the fact is that, like, we are at a point where we are so good at diagnosing gender dysphoria that, like, the people who go on puberty blockers, 98% of which continue going on HRT, which means that, like, puberty blockers are actually kind of unnecessary because they know who they are and they're like persistent in their gender identity. And also it's a process. You know how, like, back then when I started out puberty, I saw slowly over time, I saw changes that didn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the changes of you know, the girls that I kind of like, I was envious. But imagine if I was going on puberty blockers or on HRT right away, and I had the female puberty, and I would see, oh, these changes also don't resonate with me, then, like, I can stop and I can work on myself, but at least I have this clarity. Instead, what was happening is, like, I was sitting there and I saw these changes happening to my body that just made me feel worse and worse. You know, my voice dropping eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like it was me, and it just pushed me further away from my body. You know?
Well, it sounds like you had some things.
Disassociating.
You had some things in your childhood to work out then, because and I'm not going to say this is everybody.
It's just gender dysphoria.
It probably is.
I'm literally describing to you gender dysphoria.
Right. But my thought process is that because everybody is different, there could be a multitude of reasons why that was happening to you. I know, at least, again, for myself, part of the reason why I had some of the issues I had was due to factors at home, factors with my body, or factors about not being loved. I believe that now, and again, I don't think that all trans people are going to be solved if they just go to therapy and talk with people about a lot of things. I don't believe that's the case at all, because again, people are all different and people are going to have different experiences in their life. My issue, again, is wanting to issue broad strokes when it comes to letting everybody just or excuse me, not just everybody. Like, my issue is letting children do this when the factor could be just that they are depressed, they are uncomfortable in their body, because when you are going through puberty, you are very uncomfortable in your body. I know a lot of friends who didn't become trans that were very uncomfortable in their body and they didn't like how they were growing up, and it's just like, my issue is, if that is something you're passionate about, you gotta be very, very, very careful, because it could lead to people that do regret it or are broken or whatever case. But again, I will stand firm on my belief that children who are underage can't make proper decisions because they don't have developed brains, and that is my argument, that because they are undeveloped, they can't actually consent to those choices, or they don't know what they're making in terms of choices.
Yeah, but, like, the problem is that, like, you are asserting these things when in reality we have the statistics to back up that, like, the current method of, like, how we diagnose gender dysphoria and how we allow you know, trans people to go through these steps is, like, that's the right way, and there are, like, guidelines in place to make sure that this isn't, like, a phase or something, or that isn't, like, something being forced upon them. And that is why we have these rates, you know? It's actually like a medical miracle to have, like, a treatment that works so well.
So you're saying that there's a science that has been sat down and proven, basically.
It is. I would say there is still like more research required, but we are really good at like figuring out if a trans child is going to be a trans adult.
Okay. But what if that science changes? Because science is always changing.
I mean, yeah, it's currently it's always evolving. Like that is why I sent you like the difference of the DSM-5. You know how before the gender identity disorder wasn't it wasn't well like the process wasn't thought out well, and like once we get like a better understanding of like how everything works, like it gets better. But like I can send you this source here.
Okay.
So this is just that shown that like 98% of youth prescribed puberty blockers went on the prescribed hormone replacement therapy after turning 18.
Okay.
So like we can say that this is not a phase. This is not what like they're going to grow out of. And I think it's kind of unfair to be like, well, these 98%, they should suffer because 2% didn't go on HRT.
I mean,
like I think it's unfair to be like, well, we're going to ban knee replacement surgery because 15% are regretting it.
Perhaps, yeah.
Like it's still beneficial for the majority of people.
Again, I think again my issue is just the hard line of children. Again, like if my issue is if you want to allow children to make medical decisions about their life, there's a lot of other things that you have to be okay with as well. And I feel like that's a line that once you cross, multiple people are going to take advantage of. And I can't agree. I just don't agree.
There's no age requirement for age of consent when it comes to medical field.
Okay.
And like even if there was, children consenting isn't enough. You need your parents to consent. You need a therapist to consent. You need like a pediatrician to consent. You need an endocrinologist to consent. Like there's so many steps in this process. This is not like a snap of the finger. This is like years. This tracks out for
I agree.
a really long time.
There is a lot of steps in this, but I do feel like, and this is not everywhere, obviously, but I do feel like that process is abused by people that just want to railroad it through. And I feel like people railroad it through because, especially with doctors or with therapists, because there's money to be made in it. I do believe that there is a lot of money to be made in this kind of study, in this kind of field. And it does bother me that so many people are just, and again, I'm not going to say everybody does this, but so many people are willing to railroad through this process because it's very lucrative, and that bothers me. And again, children can't consent to this, so I don't know. I don't want to walk around in circles on this.
Can they consent to their biological puberty?
This is their bio. What do you mean?
Do children need to consent to their biological puberty?
Do they need to consent to something that's already happening in their system because that's how they were born? I'm confused. That's just how
they need to because like you're saying they need to consent to HRT, but they don't need to consent to their biological puberty, even if it doesn't align with their preferred, or like even if it doesn't align with their gender identity, and even if it causes irreversible damage to them. Like I don't understand like the difference.
The difference is that the body is going through the motions of what how the body need to remember the scientific terms here. The body is going through the changes that it was programmed to go through at the time of its conception. Like the brain
so your fate is determined, so you have to like just suck it up and deal with it.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Like, I'm saying
this is going to
Oh, go ahead. My apologies.
Like the problem is like this is going to cause like damage, and this is like why so many trans people struggle with their with like depression and social anxiety, etc. Because like what is done to their body or what is happening to them, it makes them feel helpless, and it's going to cause like irreversible changes. And like going through another puberty when you're 18 or 19 or 20 is not that fun, you know, especially because, you know, for example, I still need to do voice training. I've been dealing with that because I went through male puberty. I didn't consent to going through male puberty. I knew that I wanted to go through like female puberty. I knew that like the changes that I'm seeing, like my anatomy, etc., doesn't align with who I am inside. And I knew that despite being under the age of 18, I didn't just turn 18. I was like, oh, now I'm able to like make this decision for me. And it also like, I came out with 22 and it still took me until I was like 25, etc., to even get started. Like I'm still going through puberty. I'm still dealing with the irreversible changes done to me. And I would have preferred if I had some guidance back then.
Again, my thought, I've got a lot of things racing around me. I think the problem that I have is your body was programmed a certain way. Obviously, if you want to go against the grain, when you were able to make those choices, and again, I feel like we can walk in a loop about this all day, which, you know, I'm fine doing. I don't know if you want to, but like my issue is just our bodies are programmed from birth to do what they're supposed to do. Do I think that some people are born with broken deformities? Yes. And do you want to know how I know that? Because I know that I have met people, and I know people online that have Klinefelter syndrome. Are you familiar with Klinefelter syndrome?
I'm not.
Okay, Klinefelter syndrome is when somebody is born with an extra chromosome. They are born with XXY or the other variant. Basically, they are actually, it is in all sense of the term, somebody who is born as one gender, but because they have an extra chromosome, it may not present the correct way. And those are the people that have broken bodies that need to have something done to them, that need to have something fixed. I also know that there are people that are born with deformities with their genitals that they need to have surgeries with, otherwise they won't be able to operate normally as a human. Those are people...
Do you think surgeries on intersex people are okay? Or like on intersex babies, etc. are okay?
On intersex babies, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know anybody that would have that. So I would not need to do more research on that. But if it will keep their life going, like if it is a imminent threat to their life, then yeah, they probably should have it done. If they need to have surgery to keep them alive, it would just depend, in my personal opinion.
Do you think if your body is giving you changes that you don't relate to, there shouldn't be anything, like there shouldn't be medical intervention?
It depends. Again, it depends on the medical intervention needed. Again, if somebody is born with an extra body limb that is contrary to the norm, and the removal of it will help them to live a normal life, then yeah, I would say that's just fine.
What about gender affirming care?
I don't know. Again, I think it goes back to my thought process that because kids can't consent to that, I would say that... Yeah, I would say that because they can't consent, I don't know, we're going to walk in circles here.
So did you know that gynecomastia and cis boys is the reason why 97% of gender affirming care surgeries are being performed?
I would have to see some statistics on that, but I will at the moment take your word for it. I know gynecomastia exists. I know that there are young men that unfortunately are born that have differences in the hormones that are in their body. Again, like I said, I've met people that have irregularities and deformities and have broken bodies. I have a broken body. I have autism, and I have specific functions in my body that are broken as a result of having this autism along with me. And I think that if there was surgeries to fix it when I was a kid, and my parents could afford it to fix it so I could lead a normal life, probably, yeah, sure, I'd be fine with that. But again, when it comes to your body, and I guess this really comes down to a question of whether or not somebody that has the belief or internally believes that they are trans, it comes down to whether or not that itself is a reason to have surgeries or to be put on to hormone blockers. Because if you want to lump it into the same party, then I could definitely see the argument for it. But a lot of people don't, because a lot of people see it as something...
It's just hypocrisy.
How so?
Because if you're a cis boy and you see changes that don't align with your gender identity, then that is not considered to be, changing nature or whatnot. It's just making a cis boy feel more comfortable with being a boy and being more comfortable in their body. But like a lot of people have issues when it's like cross-sex, because then it's like, oh, everybody is actually going to grow out of this phase and they're going to wake up and realize that they are who they are because nature and God and biology, etc. Like, it's just hypocrisy.
I would say that the difference is that men that are comfortable as being men, if they have like a surgical, if they're producing more estrogen that causes them to produce boobs, then yeah, that I would understand why that would make them feel uncomfortable. They're not changing their gender. They're just realigning something that already fits with the gender that their body was born with. They just have a deformity or a mix-up in their system that produces one thing more than the other.
How is that different from a trans boy growing boobs because of estrogen? Because there's like an imbalance in their hormones and that is giving them these changes. Why do they have to suffer just because they're trans?
What's the difference between because they want to change from what their biological birth gender was?
Oh, how is that like problematic?
It's problematic because they're a kid and they can't consent, and they may not understand fully what they're going through. That's really the end all answer for me.
Consent?
Huh?
Why can a cis boy consent?
Can he consent to what, having boobs removed? Because it's a medical condition, and people see it as a medical condition, and people probably don't see children having surgeries to change their bodies as something that is required. And I don't think, unfortunately, you ever will.
I just want to clarify that I'm not advocating to give, trans boys the same treatment as society allows cis boys to get the same treatment. I'm just pointing this out in order to, like, maybe make you understand that, like, a cis boy seeing changes with their body that don't align with their gender identity is basically the same as a trans boy seeing changes with their body that don't align with their gender identity. You just think it's okay because one is like a different biology, a different biological sex. So that is basically the problem that I'm like seeing with that argument.
It's more that one is a birth defect and one is something that you believe. Well, I guess we would have to disagree on that, because I think that I would disagree with that.
Did you know that like there are like a lot of sciences that point into the direction that like biological sex develops way earlier than the biological sex of your brain in the womb?
I am unfamiliar with these studies now.
So I can send you the stuff on that, but like basically your DNA, your chromosomes are determining your biological sex, and but later on there's another surge of like estrogen or testosterone that is going to change your brain, and you can kind of consider it to be a birth defect to have your chromosomes give you a different biological sex than the sex of your brain.
Okay.
So like, it's just kind of problematic to be like, well, trans people are just not qualified in order to decide who they are and like go through change are forced to go through changes that don't align with their gender identity.
I'm
But,
not
cis
saying
people
that.
and intersex people, they can do whatever they want with their body because it aligns with their biological sex.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that trans people can do whatever they like once they reach the age of majority. Again, the thought process in my mind is, if somebody is born with testicles when they are a woman, or hell, if the people don't actually know they're a man or a woman, and the parents have to raise them unknowing, I would say that there would be an argument for puberty blockers, because they would have to figure out what the child's gender actually is, because science is unable to determine at the current moment. And later down the line, if they can figure it out, then they take them off the puberty blocker so that they can develop into the gender they want. I have no issue with that. My issue is people that either some people just get it in their head, others have medical problems, or others are going to have mental problems that they either work through or figure out that it is true. I have no issue. Like, if you think that your gender is different than what you are as a kid, that's fine. Go to therapy and figure it out for yourself. I just think that you should wait till you're 18 to do it, and that's really the bottom of the argument there for me, is that you must wait. There are people that have physical deformities that need to be fixed because it's either an imminent threat to their life, or it will heavily damage them if they're not fixed later in life. But otherwise, if you want to physically change your gender, you should probably wait, or not even probably, because you're a kid and you can't properly understand all your choices. You should wait.
Why should they wait though?
In case they change their mind. Like, if I
but like, if they would change their mind, then we would see the statistics show that like more people would change their mind. But in reality, like, the regret rate is just like 1%.
I disagree. I disagree. I think that
you can't disagree with like the statistics.
I will disagree with statistics based on who gives them and how the testing is done. Because I oftentimes read statistics from Republicans and they are bullshit, and I read statistics from Democrats and I think they're bullshit. I have a hard time believing that. And hey, maybe that could potentially be true. I just don't believe it. I believe, from my knowledge, based in my life and the lives of multiple people that I have seen, that people either will regret it or grow out of it. I think a lot of people grow out of it. I think some people will stick with it. And you know what? If you stick with it, fantastic. Change your gender.
Did you grow out of gender dysphoria?
Huh?
Did you grow out of gender dysphoria?
I believe so. I believe that I am very happy living as a man today. I enjoy doing the little thing with Occo that I do now because it is a fun little thing for me. But I believe that I am very happy in my gender that I was born with, because it is what I was supposed to be. And I believe that if I decided to cut off my penis and grow artificial breasts, that I would be depressed. I genuinely believe that.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, you have like a female VTuber to immerse yourself, right?
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to say that like I don't occasionally, because as a Christian, I do believe that sometimes I'm tempted by the devil, or sometimes I do get like intrusive thoughts, because I do occasionally get intrusive thoughts, and I do occasionally like say, oh, this would be pretty cool. Or sometimes I play VR chat and I have a female mon. I was like, well, this is pretty cool. But at the end of the day, I think to myself, would I be happier spending all this time, spending all this money, being something else, when I can't have children, which is one thing that I would consider to be most sacred to being a woman. I can't have a lot of the same things that I do as my current self right now. And I have to ask myself, would this make me happy in the long term? Can I see myself happy in the long term? And the answer is always no, I cannot. I cannot.
Do you think if there was like a pill that would like completely change your biological sex, you would take it?
I think a lot of men would probably take it. Me, myself, I'd probably take it, think it would be pretty funny. But like, and that's just because I'm a dude, a horny dude that likes girls. But I don't think it would. I don't know. I think I would, but I think also by the same token, you know, if that were the case, then men and women could jump around, and that would very much trivialize the male and female genders much, in my personal opinion. So,
do you think if like transitioning would give better results, or it was easier, you would do it?
I don't know. Probably. Maybe not. I doubt it. I don't know, because again, like, I like the prospect of being a father or a parent or living as a man. Again, I think there's a lot of fantasies. And again, I'll be honest, that's playing into the autogynephilia, which I probably had a little bit of, maybe just a little bit of as a kid, where I was a horny teenager as well. And I think that a lot of people suffer from autogynephilia. Autogynephilia? Yeah, I think that's the right term of it. I think there's a lot of people that probably suffer from that. I was like, you know what? Being a female would be pretty cool. And what's the first thing I would do? I'd probably fondle those tits because they're mine. And it's just like, I think a lot of people probably suffer from that, and I probably would too, you know? So, I don't know, you're asking somebody that that is still single and still thinks about women in sometimes not the most savory ways at night, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what if you want me to be actually sacred with it, the answer would be no.
Are you happy?
I am very happy, yes. I live in an apartment that is mine. I make a decent chunk of money. I'm finally able to start saving again. And I am extremely happy with what I do on the internet. I feel like I provide a good service. So, yeah, I'm extremely happy.
Do you think that I know that like being trans is like an umbrella term, and it also has people who are like non-binary, gender fluid, etc. You do realize there's like a difference between your biological sex and gender, right?
I don't. If you're talking about gender theory, that was coined by John Money, and I don't trust anything that he says based off of his past.
I don't trust John Money either. Do you know what his theory was?
I am somewhat familiar, but again, I disregard everything he said because of what he did to those two kids.
Oh yeah, you should. But like, the thing is like, John Money's theory was like that every baby is born asexual. He also didn't believe in the difference between gender and biological sex. I just wanna say that he basically wanted to prove that like every kid is asexual, and then because of how society is treating them, they become either boys or girls. And he wanted to prove with his cruel experiment, where this poor boy's genitalia was like mutilated during circumcision. They were twins. They were both boys, and he had his he wanted to use them as an example to prove that like, if he teaches the boy that he's actually a girl based on their biological sex, then he could basically turn a boy into a girl. And he, with his experiment, basically proved that like, you cannot make a cis boy a girl.
Okay.
So he basically disproved his own theory through his cruel experiment.
Yeah.
And he proved us like nowadays correct. Because like, we are saying that like, you're not making a trans kid cis, you're not making a cis boy into a girl. You can't change someone's gender identity through changing their biological sex. So like, basically John Money proves us right through his experiment.
Okay.
And I hate that like, he's being used as like, oh, the father of like gender ideology, etc. Like, he basically came up with a theory, invented a field around it, like sexual theory, etc., had his experiment, and then he just ran with it, and there were no stop signs. Like, he literally took the twin boys into therapy, and because like the the quote-unquote girl was behaving like more of a boy and like not getting along with the boys, he basically took him and his brother, made them take off their pants, and were pointing at like the genitalia and were like, look at this, look at what you have, you are a girl, you do girl things. And it just basically proves that you can't like, you know, cis children know who they are. Like, I'm not, I don't want to generalize, but like,
probably a good idea, because generalizations no, but generalizations are wrong because nobody's the same.
If you have a trans girl, she knows that she's a girl, and she knows that she doesn't like what is happening to her body due to like a mismatch of the biological sex and like the brain. Even if they are 17, 16, 15, like obviously there should be like some guidelines in place to make sure that, like, you know, a trans girl is actually trans boy is actually trans. But like, these guidelines have been in place and they have been evolved to accept to give like really good results.
I think we're definitely walking in circles. I'm getting a lot of DMs telling me I'm walking in circles right now. But it really just comes down to, at least in my personal opinion, children are fucking dumb. Children are stupid, and we give them a lot of stock in things that we probably shouldn't. There's a lot of things that I was a child that I wish was different than I was adult, and there is a chance that some things will be different, that would have been different from my childhood if I didn't go through some of the forms of abuse that I had as a child. But I guess at the end of the day, it depends whether or not you agree that children should be allowed to make very extensive medical choices about their body that will change them forever and be unreversible.
I would. That's like the problem with like a different understanding when it comes to like irreversible changes, because I think that like going through your normal quote unquote biological puberty is already like making a decision to like, so like if you can't consent to HRT, you shouldn't be able to consent to your normal puberty, but like that doesn't make sense. So I get that we're kind of at a point where we will probably never agree on, and I do hope that maybe this was somewhat beneficial, making my stance a little bit clearer. But I just want to ask like one more question, which is, do you think that I or like other trans people have been abused and that's why we are trans?
Are you so I do think that I do think that some people are trans because of abuse that goes through their lives, and sometimes there are traumatic responses that lead to, like I said, because of my childhood, which I would consider some of the ways that I was treated as forms of abuse. I do believe that some people decide that they want to make dramatic, life-altering changes to match or to get rid of the trauma that they feel. 100%, I do believe that.
Do you think it's the majority?
I don't believe... I don't know. Here's the problem. I don't believe everybody is the same, so I would have to actively see every single trans person's brain and ask them questions about their childhood in order to figure out if that were the case. I'd probably say probably not. I would say that there's probably a mixture of some people that want to change because they want to follow the crowd. There's probably some that want to change because they believe that they were born with it and it is the thing that they are going to grow up. I believe some of it is due to trauma, like myself. And I believe... No, yeah, actually, that's probably about it. I was thinking about another one, but no, that's about it.
Do you think that this applies for someone being gay.
What do you think? Are you saying? Do I think that somebody's born gay?
Yeah. Or do you think that they've been abused in order to be gay?
I don't think that I get that's a hard question because I don't believe everybody is the same. I believe that some people were probably abused into it. I believe that some people are probably born with irregularities or differences in their head, different from what people consider to be the norm. And because of that, yeah, they probably it's probably a mixture. Again, I'm not going to ever be one to say that everybody is going to be one way or another way, because the reality of it is nobody is exactly the same. And in my many years of knowing different trans individuals, I've learned that for some of them, they have traumatic experiences in their childhood that being trans is a way for them to cope with it. And I know for some of them that like they've got body issues and body defects that were solved when they became adults and they were able to get those surgeries. And I also know people with Klein filters, and I know that some people woke up one day and said, man, I feel like I'm this way or I feel like I'm that way, and either passed or it didn't. Like, I believe that there can be people across all kinds of spectrums here, and you're never going to hear me not agree to that. I think the only thing you'll hear me disagree on is how that bridge should be crossed and when it is okay to cross that bridge.
Do you think we should deny trans people access to like healthcare, like therapy, etc.?
I don't think that anybody should be denied access to healthcare. I think that everybody should be allowed to. Again, I just think that there are some steps that can only be taken once you reach the age of majority, and some steps that you should wait for. Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously talking from my personal experience a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but from the experience of like the general medical field, and I mean, I would like that this field is going to evolve and not be completely destroyed. And I don't think it's good to force children through changes that don't resonate with their body, because it leads to suicidal thoughts, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a good idea to shove trans kids into conversion camps where they're being tortured and start ending their lives.
I'm unfamiliar with these camps personally, so I couldn't give a comment. I know kind of what you're talking about. Obviously, I think that trying to force people like that is wrong, but oh yeah. I don't know if you're talking about
saying that like conversion camps exist where you know, it's the same with like gay people being shoved into there under the guise that like everybody is cis and straight and they just need to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just torture.
I do see that. I do believe, and I'm not very well versed on these camps, but from what I do know that a lot of them have really hurt people psychologically, or even maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even brain work right now, even physically. I do believe that those exist, so I won't deny that whatsoever.
Yeah, but it's just like what I'm basically advocating for is that you know, children who question their gender identity get the help that they need.
I agree that if they are, yeah,
it's gender affirming care.
I would, I would say that if children are having issues, if they think that their body is irregular, that is something that they need to talk to a professional for. And if that is something that they are serious for, and they are really passionate about that all the way through their life, great. Once you turn 18, and again, I know that's going to be the one thing that we'll disagree on. I am fine for people having some forms of education. I'm going to be obviously very adverse to the kinds of education, because I believe that some people, get the kinds of education very wrong, but I am fine with some people learning and being ready to explain to a child what potentially could be going on through their bodies. I mean, like, the way I kind of learned about it, which wasn't on the internet, I feel like is okay. Just like having to go to a therapist and talk about what's wrong with your body, what do you think about the way I went through it, I feel like is probably the best way to teach kids, and is go to a therapist, talk about it, and if they're serious about it, let them grow and observe. I don't know. I do know.
I'm just going to leave it at that because we would be running in circles again.
Indeed. Indeed.
I appreciate you having this conversation with me, even if we don't get, even if we don't change each other's mind. I do think that like conversations like this can be productive.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that my take is probably not as popular in your community.
Probably not. I mean, like, you'd be surprised. My community is built up of a lot of different individuals. Like I said, I know a lot of trans people. Some of them I know are either in my community right now or are behind the scenes that have told me they'll be observing from afar. I have a lot of individuals of both sides of the political spectrum. I know right now the political spectrum is leaning very far one way because a lot of people have been very upset with how things have been going over the last couple of years. So I know where a small chunk of my audience does lie, but I don't think that my political audience is leaning all one way because they've told me, and I've seen lots of people that have admitted that to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like the only hope that I have is for you to think that like why do you like I don't want an answer right away. I just want to have like this for you to like sit with. It's like if you are a child and you question your gender identity and you're persistent in your gender identity and you see the changes happening that don't align with your gender identity, like why should you be tortured until you're 18? Like, okay. That is basically what I'm going to, like, end it with. Because this is, like, my core issue with this debate.
Is whether, I guess, like, then the question would... that at that point, it leads to asking people if they consider allowing people to go through puberty as torture. That would be your main... argument point, and if that argument point is agreed to or disagreed to is where the conversation kind of ends, personally.
I mean, puberty that doesn't align with your gender identity, that is basically like the point. Not necessarily like puberty is torture, but like a puberty that doesn't align with who you are inside, what your brain is, that is like kind of the point.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do. Again, I appreciate you asking me. I don't. Again, a lot of what's funny is a lot of people before I ended up doing this, they're like, oh, they're gonna trap you in questions. They're gonna do all this stuff. They're gonna clip farm you. It's just like,
yeah,
I don't know. Okay, I don't care.
I feel like with like Twitter, it's always this like us against them, and we have to like protect each other, and this is going to be like an awful conversation. You're going to yell at each other and stuff like that. I feel like when you're a content creator, your community kind of blows up things out of proportion. Like I dislike your content or like the type of content that you make. I have issues with the friends that you surround yourself with, but like I don't dislike you as a person, and I don't hate you or anything, and I don't want to like trap you or anything. And I think I learned a lot about you, and I respect you, and I appreciate you for having this talk with me and being vulnerable and sharing that with me. Because I also had people like reach out and they're like, well, I'm trans too, and I don't know where Occo stands on like my issues, if I even have like a place in that community. So like it's like a really emotional topic for me, and it's difficult to talk with people who oppose my opinion on it, but like I'm still open for conversations.
I think and again, just to kind of close this off here, I think the problem you're going to run into The universal problem is, and I blame a lot of problematic people that aren't really trans. Some of them can be, but I don't all necessarily blame all trans people for this. But when you start to include children in it, you're going to shut off a good chunk of people, and people are just going to assume the worst. So I think if this is a serious conversation you want to have, because again, people are going to be surprised to hear that, like, I don't care what you do with yourself. You just leave everybody else out of it. You do your own thing and you chill. But I think that the problem is that when you decide to include what is considered to be the most vulnerable among us, you're going to have people that throw arms. And that is why sometimes it is such a non-conversation starter. And
do you understand why I have the takes that I have?
It's because of your experiences.
No, like, do you understand like the arguments that I'm making to like support my experiences?
I believe I do. I believe I do. You want to have you want to educate people so that people don't go through what you went through, because you believe that children deserve better. And I think I think the funny thing is a lot of people have that mindset where they're like, I don't want this child, or I don't want children to grow up like me. I remember hearing that a lot from my dad, where he's just like, I don't want you to grow up like me. I want you to be better than me, because the way I went through it really sucked, and I think that you deserve better. And it's just like, yeah, I get that we as a people want the most vulnerable among us to grow up and be better and to not end up as shitty as we were when we grow up. I think the problem is that some topics, if you decide to talk about them, are going to inflame people to the point where it's a non-conversation starter. So you almost just, like, maybe there's a conversation for it. I absolutely have no idea. Most people in my chat are probably going to tell me no. But I think that wanting to include children in the first place will lead to a non-starter and will only inflame the right or maybe the wrong people to use it against you.
So, like, the thing is that a lot of gender dysphoria happens during puberty.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that is like the cause of like depression, anxiety, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So this step of your life is basically the deciding factor if you're going to have, you know, even more dysphoria than necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it also like removes your entire childhood, because if you aren't socialized in the right way, and if you aren't able to like connect with people as yourself, you're not going to have like a proper childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So like that is basically the why I care so much for the trans youth.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a lot of moments where I, you know, just I was just wishing to be like the other boys, so like wake up as a girl, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just able to live my life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have like a normal childhood, like normal kid struggles, you know. And instead I was just hiding away in my room, just playing games and immersing myself and like fleeing into video games, and it sucks.
Yeah, no, trust me. Again, as somebody with autism who grew up pretty isolated because interaction with other children is weird, I kind of get that to a certain extent. I would say that it's very leaving very broad strokes on things is really rough, though. I don't know where I was going with that. My apologies.
I just want to say again, like, thank you for having this talk with me, and I hope it was maybe productive.
I would say it was, yeah.
But yeah, if we ever end up having another call, like, I'm open about it.
Okay.
I'm open to expand on it. Probably going to like talk about our talk and probably turning it into some form of video.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you plan on doing the same or something similar.
We'll see. I'm very iffy on turning stream segments into videos. It really just depends on what the segment is, and if I feel like turning it into a video will actually be of interest to the channel, to me.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just going to probably take like snippets of it, maybe talk about certain things. And it was a lot. We talked about a lot of things.
For sure we did. And I am sure that I tried not to speak on things that I didn't know. I tried to only speak on things that I did know or what I was able to put in the research for, because I did do a lot. I don't know. I did mention, I did ask for resources on some of the things you talked about in your Rev video, because I was just like, okay, if I want to engage on this, I want to make sure I understand everything they're talking about. So I did try and look up everything that you sent me and do a read for it. It's kind of difficult because, you know, when you work 4 straight 10 hours a day and you have to drive to and from.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still recovering from work.
Basically, that's basically why I didn't want this to have like a debate. I just wanted to like talk about these things and like, I don't know, get to know each other's experiences with like a topic that both affects us.
I think we did a decent job.
Yeah.
I think so. Well, do you have any final thoughts before we end this off here?
I don't think so.
Okay. Fair enough.
Is there anything that you want to like leave?
Yeah. I'll end off by saying like I understand that like a lot of people don't really enjoy that I took I used the struggles in my life to go one way or the other. Life is crazy and insane, and the fact that I've had the experiences I have is what gives me a lot of sympathy for trans people. I do think that sometimes some of them put themselves in situations that they don't need to, and make things harder for others. But by the same token, I have a lot of sympathy especially for the ones that are close friends of mine, and I'm not going to say any of them because I don't want to out them. But I have a lot of sympathy for them, and obviously I pray for them. I work with them. If they ask for counseling, I give them counseling, because again, I am a certified life coach, and I have a lot of sympathy. I just think that if you want to do something, you got to do it right, or you got to do it to the point where you don't bother other people. Otherwise, you got to have a hard time getting sympathy. I don't know. So I don't know. That's just me, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have issues with like that rhetoric. In order to like protect children, etc., we need to like force them through changes that are going to make them want to end their lives. I disagree that like, you know, you can't know who you are unless you're 18 or 25, etc. I do think there should be guidelines in place, and I do believe that like trans people will never be as privileged as cis people when it comes to like surgeries and accessibility, etc. But we have like a long way to go, and the only way we can do that is in order to advance the medical field, not to have this war on trans people and call us groomers and push like misinformation and say shit about like child mutilation, etc. Like it's a difficult topic, and
none that I think either side is ready for. I don't think that either the political spectrum is ready to have this conversation.
I just trust the medical field a little bit more nowadays than you know, trusting the medical field from like the 1960s, etc. Because there are a lot of things that, you know, we learned about when it comes to like trans topics through like real experiments, and a lot of it was also lost. But like, I don't think blocking access to gender affirming care for trans youth is a good idea.
Okay.
But
yeah,
That's what I'm going to leave you with.
That's totally fair. All right. Well, thank you for this. If there is the ability for another conversation in the future, we'll have to wait and see on it. We'll have to wait and see what people think. I know.
Yeah.
I definitely, both of our chats are very, very, a lot of mine were again just like, yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. But I
mean, I appreciate that at least like we can have like a normal conversation, even though that it's like a difficult subject, and you know, I don't want, you know, my community harassing you or, and you know, doing bad things in your chat, etc.
Well, if they do, I'm just gonna mute them. I'll be honest with you. I just when a lot of people just like they like to bring up things that I did in the past, or they like to say certain things about me. It's just like, broski, I will mute you and never see you again ever in my life. So I don't care. I mean, like, if people start to say actual shit, they might get blocked. But like, I just don't care. I just don't care. People can say whatever they would like. Although if they send actual death threats, you've got an American here that lives in a state that believes in home defense. So
yeah, no, I don't think my community is like that vile, and if people from my community are this vile, I would just tell me about it, because I don't want these people in my community.
Got a gatekeep together. I'll help you out with that.
Yeah. If you mute someone, I'm going to do the same.
Sounds good. Well,
alrighty.
I'm gonna let you go.
Out.
Yeah, for sure. You have a good one, and
you too.
All right. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Okay. That chat